What's up, everybody? It's Colton Stanley
And Logan Clemens.
and welcome to the Getting Technical podcast. On today's episode, we'll be discussing topics involved around the Tech Center, and we'll dive into our guest interview.
Yeah, our interview this week is Mr.Micheal. Also, I want to thank you, Subway, for sponsoring this week's podcast. So, Mr. Micheal, say hi.
Hi, how's everybody doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
So, we're just going to ask you a couple of things, just try to get to know who you are, what you do around here. We obviously know you're the principal of the Tech Center. So, we're just going to kind of start off with, how is your day throughout the Tech Center? What do you start off with in the morning?
Usually, try to get here early just to make sure, everybody's covered. There's no subs in the building, and make sure we're getting ready for the day, and everybody's prepared to go when students arrive.
Now, would you say being a principal is a hard job, or do you think it's more laid back and just, keeping control of what goes on around the building?
I would say the difference, if you're trying to compare maybe to a teacher, to an administrator, there's certainly a lot more fires to put out during the day than there is when you're just dealing with a classroom.
You got anything?
Yeah. So, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Hopefully retired.
That's
the goal.
So how old are you now?
51.
So you'll be 61 by then, yeah. So
Sounds about right.
You're about the age of my dad. So yeah, that's my dad retired last year, and he quit really doing whatever he was doing. I don't really know, but yeah.
How'd you find out about this position at the Tech Center?
Well, obviously it was posted, and I was friends with the former principal, so I kind of knew a little bit ahead of time that he was getting ready to move on and take a new position. So I knew the opportunity was coming.
Mm-hmm. And I want to ask you, so before you started being something in the Tech Center, what did you do before that? Were you a teacher, a principal somewhere else, or what was you doing?
I started in education in Ohio, and I was a teacher there for 6 years, and then I moved into administration for 14 years, and then I moved back here, and my first job in Marion County was the assistant principal at Fairmont Senior.
Okay. So now, with talking about, we've kind of went farther back into your life, where were you born at? Were you born here, or were you born somewhere else?
I was born right here, right across the road. So this is my home and where I grew up.
So, when you were younger, where did you picture yourself being? Like, what was your dream job?
I don't know that I really had a dream job when I was younger. I mean, I was interested in a lot of different things. I'll be perfectly honest, I definitely did not see myself being in education as a career. That just wasn't something that really intrigued me. But, as you get older and things kind of transition in your life, and, other opportunities come up, and it kind of led to this, this pathway. So that's kind of where I ended up.
And so we were talking about, where do you see yourself? So, now I know you was a big wrestler. So did you start that at a young age, or did that come later, maybe middle school, early high school? What was the rundown with that?
That started really young. Growing up here, wrestling was, when I was young, it was very big in this area. Not that it's not anymore, but, you guys might be a little young to remember, mm-hmm. but Northeast and West were all AAA schools at one time. So when I was growing up, there was probably 15 to 1,600 kids at North Marion, and now we're down to about mm-hmm. 700 in all the schools. So it was a big area. Wrestling was a big sport at that time, and there was a lot of people involved. So, that's one of the things that I was involved in as an early age.
So, and to touch on that, we know that you went to college for wrestling. So did you know what you were going to be when you went into college, or did you know what degree you were going to go for, or did it kind of you just wanted to go there for wrestling and let that all plan out itself?
Honestly, that's the only thing I did know is I wanted to go to college to wrestle. I didn't have a degree picked out at that time. And again, taking the general classes, and after being there, knew that I wanted to move into coaching someday, and teaching, probably was the best field to be able to be around the kids all day long and have contact with them, be able to try to recruit them to your sport and to your team. So
I feel like that's like the most, I don't want to say a problem with athletes, is most athletes when they go to college, they know they're going there for football, but they don't have a degree to back up if they don't make it to, say football, you don't make it to the NFL, you have to always have that backup plan of what you're going to do after college. And I just feel like...
It's kind of like they just have a lot of self-confidence.
I don't know if your son knows what he's going to college to do, if he's going for a sport, but I feel like that's a hard thing to just know what you're going to do when you go into college with, a plan. I think that's a big problem that people have when they go into college. They don't know what they want to do.
It's kind of hard for a lot of kids, I think, to think about that when they're still in high school, because they don't really want to think about college yet.
And also, a lot of college kids, when they're playing college sports, kind of turns into a job. And I think that personally. You're training all day. It starts early in the morning. You go to class, and then you train at the end of the day. And then it's if it's in season, then you're wrestling all the time. And I just think in college, it's more of like a job than it is in high school. It's more of like just a sport, you do it for fun. You're with all your friends. And I think more people don't think about what they're going to do. They're thinking about, what am I going to do this day? So
yeah.
I don't think people really plan out their future to, better themselves. And I don't know if you ran through that or experienced that at all, but that's just what I see.
So you were a principal at a high school and then here at the tech center. Is there much difference between being a principal at either one of those?
Oh, there's a huge difference. And I came here actually from a middle school. So I'd been in high school my entire career in Ohio. Came here, was at Fairmont Senior for a year, and then spent 6 years at East Fairmont Middle as the principal when they opened the new school. So the transition to here, obviously from middle school to high school is a big jump. And just comparing the high school or your traditional high school to this is even a bigger jump, just because of the way our facility runs, the classes, and you guys both go to high school, so you know kind of what it's like. And you're obviously in here because you want to be here, because you're motivated to be here, where you may not be, and not to pick on any subjects, but you may not be motivated to be in math class or English class at your high school. So I think that is the number one difference between here and any other high school.
Yeah, I think that's the problem with kids in high school, is it's like they're not interested anymore. Like, unless you're like really focused on that subject or need that subject, I don't think there's really that interest anymore. And I don't want to say that high school is a problem, but I think that there's things that teachers could do better to keep the kids intrigued. I think it's more of like at North, it's more like they just give you the work and you just do it. There's
all the classes are self-paced pretty much. I think 3 out of the 4 I'm in, and that the other one's the tech center class. So all my classes over there are self-paced.
And there's just like, it's just, I don't want to say there's no fun in it. There's just not really nothing to encourage you to want to do it. And I get that there's some kids that are like, yeah, they're just really into school and love that. But I just wish I had, like, over here, there's enthusiasm behind what you do, because it's like, over here I have a podcast to do, and I'm encouraged to do that because it's something I love to do. And that's one thing I love about the tech center, is it's specific to you. There's no, I have to take this because I need to. But it's like, I just think that that's like one of the best things about the tech center is it's fit to you, and everybody that you're around over here is like fit to you because they all have the same interest with you. And I think that that's one big problem we have with high school, is just nobody's interested anymore.
Yeah, and everybody's work ethics up here are pretty good, and it's because the welding. If you're in welding class, you love to weld, and if you love to weld, you're going to be passionate about it, and you're going to care if your work's good. So, I mean, there's also better work being done here.
Now, as a principal, do you notice, the difference? You said you come from a middle school, and I know it's really hard to judge kids going from a middle school to a high school, but do you think maybe seeing high school kids that their work ethic is stronger over here than in a high school, or do you think that kids are more encouraged over here?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. You guys mentioned when you have a passion for something, it's a lot easier to motivate somebody than it is when you have to do something. So, that's one of the big differences between us and your traditional high school. I think one of the other things, and people don't give it enough credit, is, and you guys can attest, this is a simulated workplace. So our folks clock in and out, whether they're using a thumbprint on a machine or they're using a time card. So, and I think that makes them take a little more pride in what they do, because they're given that sense of responsibility that, hey, this is up to you to do this. This is your job. We have foremans, we have assistant foremans. You're responsible for doing the work and for making, as much success or failure out of this as you want to. And the teachers are just there to kind of facilitate and, back you up and give you some ideas and try to guide you. And you're in charge of what you're doing.
Yeah, I think that's, and to like you were saying, we have our own pace over here. Like, I am senior to him because he hasn't been here in here as long as I have, and I feel like him picking up on what I do, he's going to teach the next person. And I feel like that's not, I don't want to say a rank system, but like how you said a foreman and assistant foreman, that's kind of how we have it in here. It's just like, I'm basically passing the torch down to him to, set the future. And I think that's kind of like, that's what I love about this place is every class is setting up for the future.
And you it's kind of like getting promoted to a new job, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going from like working for you instead of like working. I mean, I don't really work for you, you know what I mean? But it's kind of like that. And then, when you move on, I'm going to have somebody helping me out.
Yeah, you're going to be next. You're going to be pretty much the top because you're going to have the most, time in this. So
yeah,
you're going to be able to do stuff better, like carpentry, how they're doing that for ProStart, culinary, how they're doing that to better their future for the food truck. I think that's one thing I love about this place is they're bettering for the future of the class, how we're doing the podcast room and everything like that. We're setting up for the future, and I think that's something great to me.
Yeah, and we all kind of like, in a way, work for each other, you know what I mean? Because we're always here in case one program needs help, we're always here to help them. Yeah.
And I like the promotion fact behind it is we're always promoting each other. Like you said, we're always conjoined. And I think you see that too, us being all together. It's not like we're all separate at the same time because we all work for each other and we're all a working system. And it's like the real world. I think it really prepares you for the real world to be, because not everything's going to get handed to you like in high school. You actually have to work for everything over here and get your grade.
It's like college.
Yeah. And if you don't get the work done, the teacher's going to treat you like you didn't get the work done. And I think that's one thing me and him are realizing is, if we don't get this done, hey, we're going to get a bad grade for that, but we can do it on our own time, And I think that's one thing great about over here is you work on your own time, but also you have that penalty for, not getting things done on time.
Did you have any long-term goals for the tech center when you came here?
Well, when I came, it was kind of my introduction into CTE, so I wasn't real sure what I wanted to do to change, or to try to make the place, to make it a little better. And that probably didn't come till midway to probably the end of my first year, and that was just because I was getting to know. Like I said, there's so much difference between traditional high school and here. So to be able to get in and kind of, I don't know, get my feet wet and get a feel for how things ran in CTE opposed to your to the high school. So I don't know that I had a long-term goal then. I think now, the long-term goal is to continue to promote everything that that's going on here, to continue the collaboration. You guys talked about working together here, and I think that's one thing that I've seen grow more and more in the last 4 years is just the programs crossing over and working with each other. And, some of the ones they're pretty easy when we're working on a tiny house and the electricians are wiring it. And, but it goes clear down to the marketing department when we're putting on a job fair, and just how it's grown over the last 2 or 3 years to this point. And it's been different students. You guys touched on that about passing the torch. And to this year, a whole new set of students that are making the phone calls, getting those folks involved. And they've taken it a step further and putting a QR code on Facebook, and they don't even have to call and set it up. They scan a code and it comes to our marketing department. They're entered and they're registered. So, and along with that goes, back to ProStart, who's providing lunch for all the vendors that are going to show up on May 10th. So that's been a great thing to see, I think.
Yeah, I think that's something like over there at North Marion, and I'm sure it's like that to the rest of the schools. We don't all have that connection. Over here, I mean, I doubt we know everybody, but we still have that connection just in between our programs, let alone just us as individuals.
Yeah. And one thing I wanted to ask you to kind of touch on what you just said, as a principal, is there things that you can see as maybe an improvement we need around the building? This is the best way to get it out to people, for everybody to listen, to maybe, encourage them to, is there anything that you just think that you could see that you maybe would want to improve or anything like that?
Are we talking structurally with building?
Yeah, just anything around the building. Like me and Colton, we go around and we see things, and it's just like there's things that could be better. Or, do you think that we're structurally okay?
There's things at the same time though that are also really good. Like, we don't want to take away from that, but.
Well, it's an old building. Number one, this is 1979, so
yeah.
Obviously, you're going to have things that have that wear and tear and stuff that could be maybe made a little better to look a little nicer, and that's something that the board is always looking at and working on. But I think overall, for the the longevity the building has been here, we're in pretty good shape. You're going to expect you're going to have those roof leaks here and there. Mm-hmm. You're going to have places that need to be painted. But we working slowly to get those things done, and updating program at a time that we can. And 3 years ago, I think we put a lot of time and invested in the ProStart program, and put a new 15-foot hood in. A year later, we added a walk-in freezer and a refrigerator. So we're doing those things little by little. And that's probably, I guess, the best way that I can think to do it, to kind of put those in some kind of an order as to who did we take care of last, and to move on down the list to create a better environment, whether it's upgrading the shop or upgrading our tools or putting a new lift in. So there's a lot of things that go into that, and you have to be able to prioritize those things and look down the road and see, at what time are we going to have to update again.
Mm-hmm. And I know you guys, helped us out with the equipment here, the mics, and, our Zoom pod track that, we record on. And
yeah,
it's helped us out a lot. I mean, before it was hard to even get a podcast out.
And there's one thing structurally that I want to see improved, which I don't think we do bad, but I just want to see the hallways just lined full of color. And, I feel like we lack the, updation of, the hallways. We don't update the hallways at all because that hallway wants to do what they do, but they don't upgrade. They don't change the pictures. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one thing we need to connect on is, show people what's really going on, because, you walk down the law and public safety hallway and you see things from 6 years ago or 5 years
yeah.
ago. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Yes, they're great pictures, but, I just want to see that upgrade. I want people to see what's new, what's going on, right. Because the things in the electrical hallway, there's pictures those pictures are from years ago, and that's not showing people what's going on right now. Or in the carpentry hallway, I think we should have pictures of just things that are going on. And in the auto repair hallway, you got old pictures, and I just want to see that upgraded. I just want to see the hallways pop. I want kids to know when they walk through our hallways, they can really see what's going on. And I think that plays into my promotion over here and being in the marketing program. I just want to see that promotion, and kids, when they see stuff like that, like the tours we had today, I like kids that, when they look at the hall or like the hallway walls, they can see, oh, wow, that's a cool picture. They did that. And I just think, to me personally, I think that's one upgrade we need. I don't know if you guys have saw that, but I really think that's something that we should improve on.
Like he mentioned, I mean, the tech center is evolving every day. I mean, we're getting new equipment, we're getting better stuff. we're getting better at the tech center day by day, and you can't really tell that from pictures 6 years ago. And especially these kids that tour, they don't really get to see that.
And I think what we're doing is, and I'll touch on what I've seen, from my freshman year. The marketing class is so much different than what it was when I came in my freshman year. Freshman year, all we did was sat in a line of tables, and we just did computer work all day, and it was just project after project. And I think over the years of him being here, he's kind of like changed since I've been here. And I don't want to say the last 4 years he's changed drastically, but what I've noticed is he's more like open. Kids are more like, it's more like a job. And I think that's what I like about the class so much, is that you're on your own time and you have a deadline to get what you have done, but you have that personal freedom behind something to do your own work. And like us, we're not in a classroom with the teacher being supervised all the time. We're back here doing our work, and we have private, and we get our work done. And I think that's one thing that's great about this place, and I just really like that.
Yeah. And I mean, like you mentioned, not only does our equipment evolve, but the teaching gets better and better and better. And I mean, after you teach so long, you're going to kind of learn what works, what doesn't work, what kind of style of teaching you should do, what kids are involved in, and what kind of style projects you should do. And I think Mr. Landon's kind of realized that, and along with every teacher here, I'm sure.
Yeah, and one thing I like to say on the evolving part is, like, working with other programs to evolve. I've noticed we've had this banner put up that we have in here. We had Smoke's class. He helped us with that. And, I like that we all work together again, and it's helping us, and if I came back here, in 20 years, I'd love to see this place completely different than when I left. But the thing about it is, I want to see it better. I want to see it better than when we left. And I think you'll get to see that better than I ever will, because you get to watch it evolve. I think that would be a cool part to me about being a principal, is you get to watch the kids evolve as they go on and things get better. So
what do you think the best aspect of the tech center is?
The best aspect? One of my favorite things, and you kind of touched on it, is, I get to see things happen. I get to see the change. I get to see from the beginning to the end product. And you don't necessarily get to see that in your traditional settings. Whether you weren't the best math student and you did well on a test, that's not the same as what I see here. I get to see a physical, tangible thing that I can touch and feel, and to see that, I guess, is what excites me every day. Is something's going to be different tomorrow. Something's going to be a little bit further progressed tomorrow than it was today. And I don't think you get to see that change or that improvement day to day in your typical classrooms. And, you guys weren't over here this morning. I don't even know if you've been outside to the front. But from, I don't know, I think they started at 7:45 this morning till now, there's a 9 by 30 foot piece of concrete that they already poured.
Yeah, I saw that.
So, that happened already this morning. There's 1,500 more feet of concrete that's hopefully going to get, poured before graduation, if we can make that happen and weather cooperates and all that good stuff. So, that's one of, when we talk about improvements, that's one of the things, is the front of the building that we've worked hard on. We put a new sign up. You guys probably didn't realize that sign lights up at night. So that's something new that we've put up in the time that I've been here. That front will become a whole kind of lunch area with the food trailer angled on that pad, and there'll be benches out there. And I'm sure you've probably seen, we just put the bench inside, the buddy bench, the 6-sided bench that we're going to engrave. Mm-hmm. So little things like that happen every day, that you can see a change, and you get to see the different students working on it. So I don't know. I think that's what probably gives me the most satisfaction, is it's something different every day. Nothing's going to be the same. It's not going to be, what day of the week is it? Because I think that's what makes me, excited to come here every day, is you're not worried about what day of the week is. You're worried about, can I get all this done by this week? And, looking at the calendar, I'm looking at really 5 weeks left till you guys are gone. Mm-hmm. So, going back to that outside project, and that's something that I set a goal to have that done before graduation. And Now it's kind of got me in panic mode because the days they're going by faster and faster, and it's something I wanted to have set up for not only the seniors leaving to be able to experience it before they left, but for the parents to see it on that night of the completer ceremony, to have the food trailer set up, to have it opened, to have the benches on the concrete, and it'd be a nice send off for these seniors. And this, ironically, it's my 4th year, so this is the first full class of students that have come through with me here. So there's some things that you do individually or even as an administrator that you want to do because it is the first full class that you've had.
Yeah.
And I don't think kids realize what we do around here is going into a bigger picture. Just like, the concrete, the tiny house, everything we do is to make the tech center bigger and better. And I mean, you can really see that with the concrete and the food truck.
And what I want to say is on our side of evolving as like a group, you've been back here, you've helped us multiple times. You helped us set up these walls and everything. And you saw us evolve. When we first got in here, it was just me and Landon. Colton even hadn't even come back here yet.
Yeah, no.
He was still printing pictures for Mr. Lanham, and it was like we started off with a tiny little table that didn't even really work. It was loud. They weren't level or anything like that. And we started off with a laptop that we got handed down that wasn't even that great, and just these mics that we didn't even know how to use. And then halfway through that they failed, and then we tried switching, and we just ran through so many trials. And I think even though we think right now is the place we're in, we think, wow, we really have it nice, I want to see it better down the future. And that's one thing like you said, is you get to see that,
Mm-hmm.
and with being back here and everything, you get to see stuff like that change. And I hope you get to see the podcast change, and I hope people in the future like him have you back here again. And hopefully next year it's completely different. I hope they have real walls, and they have a better table, bigger conference table, lights, cameras. I want that. That's what I want. I want people to really see how much we've changed, because these mics are way better than what we started off with. And Landon even passed down the torch to me, and now I'm teaching Colton. And that's one thing that I have really enjoyed is out of my eyes, I've seen things change. And before that, I really never got to see that. As being a senior, it's really changed, because you're all over the place. You have that, teachers trust you with that more of a freedom, because you've been over here long enough. They know, they trust you. And I've went off on my own, and I've really seen, I've been putting this together for him to even take over next year. And I think that's one thing that I've liked to see. And graduating will honestly make me sad, because I've been here since the first day of school, and I've watched this thing start up from not even really the bottom, but I want to say the bottom, pretty much the bottom.
Yeah.
And you've been back here, and you've saw that we really we've started from kind of nothing, and we've changed all of our software. We're nowhere even close to what we had when we started. And I think, from my view, you get to see everything around the school, but as a personal student, that's one thing I've loved to see throughout a class. And it's definitely going to make me sad to, leave Mr. Lanham when I graduate. And that's something that, you talked about graduation, and, I'm really happy to see that we're setting up to, have a really great graduation this year. And I'm so glad that it gets to be me, because you started as a principal when I was here. My first year, that was your first year, and you've got to see my class, start from the beginning till now. And I hope that you've seen an improvement with us throughout these years. And it's honestly an honor to, graduate saying that we've evolved this school as much as we have.
Is this the first class you took when you were a freshman?
This was my freshman year, my third block was Mr. Lanham. And I can't even lie, the first time I walked in here, it was the first time I'd ever had a class with somebody older than me. Throughout middle school,
Yeah.
it's always kids your age, and you're always scared of kids. and I got put in a class, and these kids were like, oh yeah, we're seniors, and then there was girls from West Side, kids from East Side in here, and I was like, wow. And that really opens you up, because he puts you in front of those kids, and he breaks you out of a shell of being a kid, you know. And that's one thing I love about this class so early on, is he breaks you out of that shell to, you know, get out of your comfort zone and talk in front of people, and then the rest of your life you're more of an adult. And I don't know if you've noticed that, you know, you're only a sophomore, but, you know, it really breaks you out of that shell to, you know, talk to adults. And I think you've understood, we're over the last few years, we've really understood how to talk to adults and, you know, get to that point.
You have to give Mr. Lanham credit, because, I mean, I played basketball for him, and, you know, he even was all about responsibility, learning how to talk to people, learning how to be respectful to people, making eye contact. And it's not only here he does that. And I think some teachers, they act like that here. You know, Mr. Lanham, he acts like that everywhere, and he's constantly trying to, you know, show people the right way to act, showing his football players the right way to act. And I mean,
and I can honestly say that about every group, and I think you could too. You know, these teachers are really setting these kids up, instead of over at like North, West, or East. It's just a high school, you know. They're doing everything they can to prepare you for the SAT. I think that's all really school is to me, is to prepare you for the SAT, and then your senior year is really getting you ready for life. But over here, if you come over here, it's preparing you for the workforce. You know,
it's preparing you from life, preparing you for life from day one. Not like over at the high school, which I'm not a senior yet, but I mean, from what you say, you know, that's what they're just now starting to do. But first day I came in here, I remember I was like half an hour late.
And we didn't matter that you were late, you still got put to work, you know?
And he made the first half an hour I was in here, he made us stand up in front of the whole class and introduce ourselves.
Yeah, and we had to get to know each other, whether we liked it or not, you know. And that, like I said, that breaks you out of your shell. And you've seen that these kids go from being, you know, kids. When we come in here, we're just young kids, and then we turn into mature adults by the time we leave. And I think if I was in your position, that would be one thing that I'd love, just watching kids, you know, go from these immature kids to, you know, pretty much young adults and being ready for, you know, life.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it kind of most kids, you know, right now need that. You know, they need someone to take them outside of their shell and, you know, explore. And I didn't really feel comfortable talking in front of people before that. I know, last year, first semester, that was my first class with Fry, and that's actually how we met, is I got paired up with him to do like a mock interview. And that interview he does, it's usually one of the first things he does in his class, and it's very beneficial to everybody, no matter the age. I mean, from freshman up to senior. I mean, it's pretty cool to see that.
Now, you know, we've really covered a lot of our, you know, serious topics. You know, we've been serious, and I kind of just want to shoot into some, you know, kind of more funny questions, just to kind of get to know you on a more funny level. You know, let people know who Mr.Micheal is. You know, not as a principal, to not see you. Because I mean, feel like most people, when they come and they hear a principal, they're kind of scared. So I want people to know really kind of who you are as just a person, and not try to see you as, you know, an administrator or anything like that. So the first question I kind of want to ask you is, what's your favorite thing to do in your pastime? Like, what do you do when you have free time? What do you do?
I would say anything outdoors. You know, one of my favorite things to do is to fish, especially this time of year. You know, this is prime time trout fishing season. So anytime I have a spare minute to get to the mountains, that's probably where you would find me.
What's your morning routine look like?
Morning, it varies a little bit, depending on, like I said, what we have going over here. You know, Monday morning I was here about 5:20 because we'd had the weekend off. I knew we had things set up for this week, and, you know, it's one of those things that I guess that's why, you know, I talked about, that's why I like this job so much is, you know, I've been doing this for 25 years, and, you know, even after that length of time, there's something that I knew what we had coming up this week, and I still couldn't sleep Sunday night. So I'm here at 5:20. just to try to cover all my bases and make sure that we are prepared and that we're going to get stuff done that we have planned. So, but typically I don't get here till about 6:15 on a normal day when I feel like things are under control and they're going to go our way and the weather's cooperating with the projects we have outside, and we have 100% of our staff here and no one has to be off for a conference or for any other reason. So that's typically what I do every morning is just to come in and make sure, like I said, all the lights are on and we're ready to roll when students get here.
Now, one question I want to ask you is, with being a wrestler, you've had a busy life. You've probably won a lot of medals and everything, but maybe not just that. But I just want to know what's your biggest accomplishment in life? Like one time in your life where you were just really, you told yourself, "I'm proud of myself for doing that."
Like you felt like you were at the top.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was any athletic accomplishment. I would say one of the times that I really felt good about myself, that felt like I really had done something, was probably the first time when I first got hired into education, my first teaching job. And the reason that, if you grow up here in a smaller town, smaller community, smaller county, even a small state, and the reason it was such a big deal to me was my first job was in Dayton, Ohio as a teacher. I didn't have a relative in the state of Ohio. I didn't have a reference that I was related to. I didn't have anybody necessarily pulling for me or that was in my corner that was somehow a family friend or a relative. And, it just gave me that sense of something that I really did on my own with no pull from a family member or family friend. And, I'm 5 hours away interviewing, and just felt like it was all my own merit that got me the job. So that was one of the, I guess, highlights, and that was at my early stages of being in education.
Yeah, and it helps to have those connections too. And I'm sure when you were in Dayton, you probably didn't have a whole bunch of connections as much as you had here, because I know your dad was, a big football coach over there, and probably pretty well known. And I know he probably helped you get connections, and you probably got connections because of him.
More so in this area, to be honest, and you don't even have to go much further than Columbus, and they don't know that West Virginia has separated from Virginia yet, so they're not even sure we're a state. So his name didn't travel much outside of this county, or maybe outside of this state.
Yeah.
But it certainly in Columbus they didn't know about North Marion football and didn't care.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what made me feel so good about that. I knew it wasn't because of anything anybody else had done but myself.
And so, I kind of pick up on what you're saying about that. Why does it sound so weird?
Open the door.
Oh. I mean,
what was the point of that?
I can cut that out. But what I was going to ask you is, so, I kind of understand what you're saying, or like being on your own. I've kind of realized that, being more 18, kind of when I turned 18, it wasn't like my parents were like, hey, you're on your own. They didn't kick me out. They didn't do anything like that. But, they really treated me like an adult, and I've done things on my own now. Like, I've started working for people, and I do it on my own. And I understand what you're saying by, like, you get things done on your own, and it makes you feel more proud because you don't have that, oh, I'm handing this to you anymore. Right. Or it's like, you have to figure out things on your own, and I kind of understand what you're meaning by that accomplishment of, feeling like you had nobody help you, but you did it on your own, and you just feel pretty much more powerful than what, you used to feel like. So
yeah, for sure. Well, Mr. Micheal, it was a great honor having you on here, and we really appreciate you coming out, and I think that's going to probably be the end of our podcast today.
And I also want to say a thank you to our sponsor, sponsored by Farmington Subway, where they are now freshly slicing meats on site. Stop by and try one of our new meatier cheesy deli heroes off the Subway series menu. Subway, eat fresh.
You can also check us out on YouTube at We Talk Tech, and also Facebook at the Marion County Tech Center. We'll have the link to this video and a link to our YouTube on there. So
and check out our TikTok too. You did not throw the TikTok in there. TikTok is probably one of our biggest things, besides Facebook. Probably TikTok is really kicking off. They've they're posting a lot on there. So, you know, if you guys
Probably
want
at least once a day.
yeah, so if you guys want to get, you know, news around the whole tech center, you know, check out our TikTok. There's videos, there's funny videos, there's, you know, serious videos, there's interview videos. So if you guys want to check that out, go check that out. And I think that's for this week's podcast.
Yeah,
See you
that's a
guys.
wrap. Thank you guys for watching.